Yo, Kingdom, community vibes, community ties. Terrance Tucker is the brother who's connecting the tribe.
Boom! We back in the building, And I know y'all upset with me for real now. I know y'all mad. Huh? What I told you, you pray 2 times a day. God gonna bless you, man. I'm trying to tell you, God gonna bless you because you see my boy next to me, man, my big homie, man. Lester Young is here. Yes, he's here. He's not being held hostage. He came on his own. I'm trying to tell you. That's my guy, man. Yeah. 100, man. Listen, man, thank you so much, man, for coming through. You know what I'm saying? Rocking with the kid. He came to the community vibes, man, because he's all about the community. Yes, he's all about the community, man. So before we get to this king right here, man, let's pay 2 quick bills, all right? Two real quick bills, all right?
I need to put some money out my pocket.
Nah, you good. The bill's already been paid for real.
All right.
But if you woke up this morning, give God all the praise.
Absolutely.
Give him all the praise because he is worthy to be praised. He is that guy. I'm telling you.
Facts.
Listen, whatever you're going through, he will get you through it. But you just gotta believe. You got to believe in him. His grace and mercy is powerful. I'm telling you. Just give him some time. All right. Listen, man. Just go talk to him. All right. Build some kind of man relationship with the guy. I promise you, he will not let you down. All right. Now, number 2, you see my man drinking his smoothies.
Oh yeah.
You see my smoothie.
You know what I'm saying?
You hear the music playing in the background, don't you? Don't disrespect it. It's the groove, man. It's the groove. Yes, the groove smoothie and juice bar. And we're located at 7510 Garnish Ferry Road. All right. Put the soda down and come get
Grab
you.
You not what I'm drinking, the berry.
I'm telling you, my man loving it, man. He loving it. Yes.
That's managing right now, so that's what it is.
All right. So hey, we back now. We back. Now, my guy, man, Lester Young is here in the building, man. Y'all stand up on your feet. All right. Give this man a huge round of applause. Standing on base because he's worthy of it, man. He's worthy. So, man, listen, man. We met about what, 2 years ago? 2 years ago.
Face to face, we've been following each other for a minute.
Following each other a
different
long
platforms,
time.
but yeah,
much respect for the guy, man.
Yeah.
And Sid Johnson had called me and said, hey, we want to hold a male achievement, event. And the first guy that came to my mind, like the first guy that I was like, listen, my man got to be a keynote speaker. My guy Lester Young got to be a keynote speaker. Listen, man, I hit the guy up. Man, this guy responded like this. Let's do it.
Anything.
Listen, man, without no hesitation, let's do it. Never met me, okay? No kind
physically, yeah.
Physically. Never met, you know what I'm saying? Physically. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because we know how some of y'all can't be Hollywood out there. You know what I'm saying? Just no shots, just real talk. You know what I'm saying? My guy, he came out, man, and he delivered, man. And from that point on, man, my respect level, you know what I'm saying, for you went up like way up here. You know what I'm saying? Because man, you came through, man, you knocked it out, man. You know what I'm saying? But we know you got a journey.
Oh yeah.
We know you have a huge testimony. But for those who may not know, let's start out with this. Brother, where are you from?
I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts.
Ooh,
Celtics.
Ooh, them boys. They stole one last night, low-key. They stole one last night, low-key. Man, salute them.
Yeah. Celtics fan. Then I moved, when I was about 14 years old, I moved to South Carolina.
Okay.
I've been staying there for some time. Then I eventually moved to Columbia. And I've been staying here for a while, so I'm digging Columbia. It's all right. It's all right.
We all right. You know what I'm saying? Metro in the building.
It's all right. Yeah.
Metro in the building, man. So, you have a lot of titles. A lot of titles right now. But one of your titles is author. And you have a phenomenal book called The 5 Stages of Incarceration.
Yeah.
All right, listen. 5 Stages of Incarceration. Okay. Now I need you to go buy this book. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Now let's learn more about this book, man.
All right, cool. Let's get into it, man. Let's say Boston to South Carolina. And I came to South Carolina with that city mentality, like, yo, I'm just gonna hustle. You know, South Carolina soft. I mean, slow, not soft, but they slow. You know, like
country.
Yeah, a little country.
Country boy.
But you know, you always find the ones from the city thinking the country is slow. They the ones that always get tripped up.
Exactly. You stick your foot out right there,
because you don't know the culture of it. But
Exactly.
I just got caught up, man. About 17, I would say a little after I moved here, we went through a little difficulty, a little tribulations with my mom's passing at 16. You know what I'm saying? My mom's passed away a couple years after we reside here, and that was the thing for me. I remember one day I came home from my middle school, and my mom, my chores for the day was washing dishes for that week. I had to wash dishes before she cook or whatever. And I came home like most teens, 15, 16 years old, you ain't trying to wash some dishes. You want to drop your book bag and shoot outside. You know what I mean? And that's what I wanted to do. So my mom, she was sick, but I didn't realize how sick she was. You know, so she was like, baby, wash these dishes so when your dad come home, he can go ahead and cook because he's going to be fussing. I'm like, man, mom, washing no dishes. So we got in that verbal thing.
Boys don't like washing dishes.
Nah, you know, especially when you got your homeboys out there, you know what I'm saying? So
don't want to get their hands away.
You ain't want to get, that's not your thing. I ain't even want to rake the yard, you know what I'm saying? Pop wanted me to clean the yard or some shit, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, when she, that morning I left and went to school, I hated school. My dad was like, yo, staying with your mom. I was like, nah, I ain't staying home. Because me and my mom's had a little altercation, a little disagreement. And my mom's the type of woman was that I was her oldest son. And I was the only son. I was a baby.
Oh, you the only boy?
Yeah, I'm the only boy with 3 sisters. So I'm like, man, we had a disagreement. So I'm expecting moms to come in the house. Come in my room that same night or that morning and say, babe, I love you. Blah blah blah. Here go something to sneak. You know. But she didn't move this morning. So my dad was like, yo, stay home with your mom. I was like, nah, I ain't staying home. And because of that, my sister ended up staying home. I left and went to school. 3 hours later, one of my cousins came and said, hey man, we need to take you out of school. I was like, what's up? And that's when he, as we driving back home, he's like, your mom's passed away. I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? So I walked out of the house not knowing that I would not walk back into the house when my mom's passed away. You know what I'm saying? So now at 16 years old, now I'm dealing with, damn, I didn't apologize to mom. Did she die? Mad at me? That's the reason why she didn't come and apologize to me that night. So I internalized all of that grief, and this time we didn't have any platforms or anything to help me with grief. My father was the type of guy that he came from the old school. Don't cry.
Move on.
Yeah, move on. We gonna get through this. You know, so it was. You know what I'm saying? That's how they was.
About to drive you nuts inside.
You know what I'm saying? So my sisters, they processed it. You know, they dealt with their grief. I never dealt with mine. So here it is. I internalized my grief, and I started like going into the streets like really hard. Started going in the streets, man. Started hustling. Started just wilding out in school. And I just like started rebelling even more, and no one really understood. It took me a long time to realize that my rebellion was not that I never really wanted to sell drugs. I didn't see drug dealing in my house. I come from a 2-parent home, middle class family, did well. But I saw it in the environments that I associated in. You know what I'm saying? So when I did that, man, I just started going out there, man. And people like, why did you sell drugs? But now I realized that my grief was so severe that I was angry and felt a sense of guilt for her death. I blamed myself for that it caused me, man, to just wild out. So at 17,
out for blood.
Yeah, I didn't care. I was that guy, man, that didn't really care. You know what I'm saying? So, and it led to me getting caught up into the prison system at 17 years old. Ended up getting caught up in selling drugs, and from there I did a 90-day sentence. 18 months later, I'm standing before a judge facing life for murder. You know, and that's when everything really just started unfolding. It's like, how did I get from 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, standing before a judge after a jury of 3 days deliberating and say, we found that you were at fault or you were guilty of taking this person's life. You know, and now I'm sent to prison for the rest of my life with possibility of dying in prison. You know,
what was that like? You know, when you was standing there, bro, like, What was that feeling like, bro?
I'm gonna be honest, and I tell people today, and you know, it's not being I was very callous, very, very like I had no remorse for nothing I did, because going back again at 16 years old, I dealt with a pain. Right. There was a pain that was never addressed for me. Right. So when my mom's passed away, I really didn't care about anything. Right, I didn't care about my own life. Wow. So when the judge sentenced me to life, man, it didn't bother me. It's crazy that I say that, right? It didn't bother me like most people pass out. I remember, and this is arrogance. I was very arrogant, very callous at the time, because remember, I had a victim's family. Someone lost their loved one's life over a drug dispute, and they're in the courtroom. My family's on one side, their family's on one side. I remember when the judge sentenced me, and I was like, man, I told the judge, I was like, man, I can do me. You know what I'm saying? I remember telling this judge, I said, man, I can do me. And I look back and I told him, I said, no, Rock. I told my dad, I said, don't worry about it. I said, I can do me, you know? And that was one of the most stupid things I did, because I'm just being honest, bro. With maturity. Yeah, we 100. I mean, 100. I wasn't mature enough to understand the severity of what I did. I was in them streets so deep.
Did you see the pain on your parent? Did you see the pain on your father's face?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, man, my pop's been hurt. My pop said when I got arrested, the crazy thing, my pops brought the police to come arrest me. Yeah, pops, man. Yeah, but see, the reason why is because my dad told me that that's not the life he wanted me to be in. And he's like, I don't support that. He said, bro, he was like, yo, I gave you a house at 17. Right. I gave you your first car at 17. You didn't have no reason to do this. Right. I gave you your job. Like, I'm the superintendent of this golf course. Right. Dude, you on this golf course making good money. Right. You don't need to be doing this. Right. So I still did it. You know what I'm saying? Just now, it was more now about my friendship, my homies, supporting it and impressing them. My environment now made me ignore my pops. You know what I'm saying? So, man, the day that, funny thing, man, I was riding in the car with my dad this morning going to work the night after this incident happened. And my dad said, came on the radio station like a shooting took place in this neighborhood. And my dad, he had every morning he playing gospel music. He turned the gospel music down. When the commercial went off, he looked at me, he said, son, was that you?
No, he did.
Yeah, bro. Something in him told him it was me, right?
No, he did.
Yeah, man. I said, Pop, I said, nah, man. I said, I was home. This the night it happened. I didn't know that the guy actually died, right? It was
like you shot him and just.
Yeah, it was I was selling drugs. The guy came and said, hey, I want to buy a certain amount of drugs. Right. And in the process, as one of my homeboys actually was going to make the transaction, the guy grabbed his arm and tried to speed off. I didn't actually go. I was standing behind my homeboy, and when I saw the dude dragging my homeboy down the road, I shot into the car. You know what I'm saying? And that's when, so he sped off. I didn't know that the person actually died from it. I was just trying to get my homeboy from not getting dragged down the high road. Yeah, I'm just looking out for him. And so, like I said, me and my dad riding, he said, son, that was you? I said, nah, Dad, well, my heart dropped in my underwears, you know what I'm saying? And about a couple hours later, I went to work with my dad, and I found I was like, man, let me get off this job, let me shoot out, because that's when the word and then it started circulating that this guy passed. So now I'm like, yo, I'm gonna escape. I'm gonna shoot up the boss there and hang out there until things cool off. Man, by the time I get home, man, my pops had the police, you know. Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? He was like, son, you're not the son that raised. My dad had a feeling. Your parents know you, man.
They do.
They know you, man. Your parents know you. They know when
you lying. They know when you worry. Yeah. They know when you just listen. Parents know, y'all. Yeah, kids, man. Okay, young people and adults.
Parents know you,
Parents know, man.
He looked at me and I was like, "Why? How'd you know this?" You know, and I try to like, nah, Dad.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Was you upset with him?
Nah, man. I mean, at the time, I was like, damn, Dad. You know the snitch code.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah. So I was. Pops like, why'd you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
could have gave him some cash and just let me.
But you know, he wasn't feeling that because he's like, yo, I didn't raise you like that. That's not how you was raised, and you need to, if you was man enough to do this, you need to go and stand up for this.
Right.
But my dad, you know, during that time, he's like, yo, I'm not coming to see you. I'm not coming to see you no more. I don't care what happened. I'm not coming to see you because he's like, son, I told you this. I set you up for success. You chose this other path. So when I got sentenced, he was in the courtroom, but remind you, my immaturity, I was so wrapped up in impressing friends that I ignored again the pain that I had caused my pops and my victim's family at that time. That's why I said immaturity. Looking back,
sisters?
Yeah, my sister. My sister's passed out. So I'm just I remember that when I told the judge I could do me, I was projecting that to my homeboys like, yo, this, he still can handle him, but a life sentence. When it took me to the back, I said, I just told that judge I can handle a life sentence. The judge said, oh, you can handle a life sentence. We're gonna put, go ahead back there. Here you go, life. Wow,
man.
So it's been one of those journeys, man. Where,
so while you was there, man. So while you was there in prison, man.
Yeah.
When did you realize? Because you went through, like, you served what?
22 years.
22 years in prison, man.
Yeah.
At what time did you realize? Listen, man, I gotta change my life.
It was maybe about a year after I got in there when my dad eventually started coming to see me.
Okay.
And a couple weeks into my prison sentence.
Can't stay away from the kids.
Nah, my dad wasn't that. Nah. Even though I made that mistake, and like I tell kids, young people today, it's like, yo, when you do these crimes, you impact your parents in a different way, and they got to live with the fact. And my dad was a church person, deacon, usher boy. He got to go to that church every day, and then people like, like your son in jail for murdering somebody. You know what I'm saying? So he lived with that. But my dad made it his intention throughout my entire time to come up every weekend and read scriptures with him. My dad, every time I would walk into the visitation room, my dad would have the Bible open, and we ain't talking about nothing else. We're not talking about the past, not talking about the crime. Well, you need to be led to God, because this is something my dad always instilled in me.
Wow.
And so through prayer, man, I would always say, man, there's nothing like a praying father for a son. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing like it. So my father prayed and prayed, man, and over a course of time, through other experiences inside of prison, man, I said, man, this is not right. I want something different. And even though they say I may die in prison, God said that's not possible. If you connect to your purpose and your gift and repent for what you have done, I will deliver you from the system. And that's when I began that journey over a course of time. I really took accountability for what I did. A level of maturity that came about. The life sentence started to sink in, like, yo, you may be here for the rest of your life, and you're looking around the prison environment, you're seeing guys who had a very same sentence as you are now 50 and 60 years old in the prison system, but they came there and then at the age of 17, now they're 60 years old. I didn't want that for my life.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So it took those harsh realities. I always say the man in the mirror. Like in my book, I mentioned the man in the mirror. One day I was brushing my teeth in prison, and for so long I couldn't look myself in the face because of the shame. There's a shame that comes with a crime such as murder. Even though it was a drug deal and this guy attempted to rob somebody, it was still somebody's death. Somebody died. And through prayer, I realized, like, yo, in order for me to move forward, I have to make peace with that person's spirit, his family, and that was a tough thing for me. And I never wanted to look that man in the mirror, because that would force me to build some type of, have to repent and acknowledge what I did first. See, a lot of people don't want to acknowledge stuff. It's easier to be in denial about it.
You got to face the music.
Yeah, you have to, and that's where my growth began. When I say that my spiritual growth and transformation came one night sitting in prison, and God led me to repent. And I remember my roommate was in there. It was a small prison cell, and my roommate was at the bottom bunk. I was on the top bunk, and I got up around about 3 o'clock in the morning. I never forget it. God led me to fall on the floor, and I began to pray. And from there, I sat in a fetus position crying, like really crying. And my roommate was like, yo, bro, you all right? I was like, bro, I'm good. And it's like God put it on my heart that in order for him to move me to the next level of who I want, who he created me and destined me to be, I had to repent. And I had to have a conversation with the person's spirit that was no longer on this earth. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I like literally for years, I was always saying that when people like, yo, what you in it for? I'd be like, yo, they said I shot somebody. I never gave this person a name. Even though I knew his name from court records and stuff. I knew his name, but I refused to pronounce his name for years. But this night in my cell, God placed on me, said that in order for me to forgive you and bring forth the transformation that you desire and I've created for you, you have to call his name and you have to speak to his spirit. Come on. In order for you to move forward. In order for you to be renewed and rebuilt and restored and restructured, you have to have that conversation with that person's soul, spirit that you took off this earth. And that's when, yeah, man, it was a heavy,
deep, man.
It was a heavy moment for me because it was a heavy moment. I prayed, and some of us can identify with this. You can pray, you can fast, you can read scriptures like how you open up, have that conversation with God. But it's like for years inside the prison, it was like this glass ceiling. I felt like, what is it that I can't elevate to, right? And it was that in order for God to elevate you to the next level in your life, you have to acknowledge other things in your life that put you in that position. So I wanted growth, but I didn't want it to acknowledge what I did to this person. I didn't want it to give him his honor by pronouncing his name in spaces. His name is Gary Goldinger Jr. That's his name. I have to bring his spirit into the space, right? Because for so long, I had to bring that. And once I was able to do that, and I had this relationship, this conversation, I was like, I spoke to him and said, I do apologize for what I've done. I can never bring your soul back, right? But I would honor your life by doing everything that is right going forward. So that night, I don't know how many hours, I know it was late when I got up off that floor. I got back in my bed, and man, I slept that night, that remaining morning in peace for the first time in years. Because a lot of people don't understand that. Like these, you see,
monkey got off your back, man.
It's that person's spirit.
Yeah.
That will ride you until you make peace with it. Like you see young guys out here busting guns, and they stand in the courtroom like how I was stood, and I see dudes in the courtroom like, I can do me. I'm like, bruh, watch when you go back in that system for a couple months.
Life changes.
Yeah, that stuff gonna change.
You're
gonna try to jump. You're gonna have to commit. I've seen dudes like couldn't handle that weight of a spirit of someone on you. I've seen dudes try to take their life from that because they didn't understand it. They didn't understand the spiritual dynamics. See, it's a spiritual dynamics that takes place when you take a person's life, right? So now they're thinking that it's the walls that are caving in. Now it's that person's spirit that you have to deal with. So if you don't deal with it, you're gonna figure out either I'm gonna continue to get high, I'm gonna wild out, I'm gonna try to kill myself. This shit is killing me. But God led me and said that's how I had to begin, and that's the beginning stage of me. So in my book, I mentioned self-denial as the first stage of my incarceration. I was in denial about what I did. I was in denial about so many core issues that led to that behavior that I needed to address that, which had a lot of anger. I was full of anger. And the anger was not about me, where I was, who I had a beef with. I would see a dude, I'd be like, it wasn't him. It was that I was dealing with the anger from my mom's death. You see what I'm saying? So when you see me busting my guns back then when I was young, and I'm like, I'm unloading the clip on you. It was not about you. It was about me fighting this demon within myself.
Anger, man.
Anger, powerful.
And grief. And grief.
Yeah.
So when they, throughout the years, right? You matured, and I'm sure that your faith grew.
Yeah.
At that moment where you realized that it may be a possibility that I may be getting out. What was that feeling like for you?
Once I come back in, when I made peace with that, God told me that I'm gonna get out. He didn't tell me as
you already knew, like you felt it.
God gave me that assurance that you're not
wow.
gonna be in prison. He's like, yo, if you do I command you, connect to purpose.
Right.
See, remember the prison with no
Come on.
I was the person like, this right here is something I didn't do.
Right.
Voice. I lost my voice when I was 16. And I meant that metaphorical, I lost it when my mom died. I didn't process, I couldn't speak pain. So I internalized a lot of it. But when I made that amends and that repentance, God gave me voice. He gave me voice, He gave me purpose, He gave me a gift. So now He's like, stay in this lane, connect to these three things while you're here, and walk it out, and you will be good. I always tell people, like, if you know the story of Noah in the Bible, God told him, I know you do, right? But God told Noah, that's what I'm about to say. You already know the story, right? But anyway, I always looked at it like God gave me a purpose. He said, walk this out in prison. Like, use your story to empower other men inside of prison. This book I taught for 15, 16 years in prison, right? Everything in this book, I taught this in prison, right? So God told me, like, go build the ship and trust that the water will come. This is the same with Noah. He built the ship, and like the ship was way away, miles and miles and miles and miles away from water. But he had enough faith in God and the promise of God that he continued to build. And for years in prison, that's all I did. So people saw me in prison, they were, man, you ain't gonna never get out of prison. How you killed the white guy with drugs, them people, they gonna never get the parole board, they ain't gonna never do this, you know. And I tell people, when you working on God's assignment, you gotta learn how to block and become tunnel. See, a lot of people walking, a lot of people walking in God's calling. Like, this is a calling from God, right? This ain't, you ain't inspired just because you want some glamour and glory. You doing something that is connecting people. It's a God assignment, right? So now people may say, I don't like the way this is. See, you like this. When you walking it out in God's assignment, you walking like this and like this. You're not listening to those because God didn't give them the vision. He gave you the vision. Exactly. Right? So God gave him this vision. So God was like, man, you wasting your time. All my every cent that I got in prison for my family went into buying books. Wow. You're in prison, you're only allowed to get 10 books, right? I had 100 books. Wow. I had 100 books in my that when they would come. A whole bookcase. Yeah, a bookcase. I got a whole library. Wow. Right? And I read over 1,000 books in prison, right? So when they would come and pack me up, I'd be like, yo, you can keep the clothes, I'm carrying my books. They'd be like, nah, you can't carry them but 10. But I like, bro, put them 100 books, whatever can feel in this, man. I'm walking, man. So that's how it was for me. And God told me to keep walking it out, man. And I walked it out. People criticized me, they laughed at me. But here I am now, I'm free. When they said you only had a 3% chance of ever getting out of prison, God favored me to get out of prison. Out, man. Listen, so I got persevered, man. Yeah. Okay. Trusting God's vision for you, you know? The vision, man, your purpose, okay? Yeah. Sometimes, man, you find your purpose, man, going through the storm. Yeah. I promise you. You find your purpose going through the storm, but you just gotta stay faithful. And you gotta believe, man. What they say, God give you the vision, he'll give you the provision. Man. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't understand that, you know, and that's what it was for me. God gave me this vision, man. Wow. And every man, brother, I tell you that every walk of my time in prison, God always made a way for me. Man. You know? Wow. Man. Yeah, so that's why I'm here and I stand on what I do now. Man, we thankful that you did. I'm thankful too, man. Listen, man. So so when you got out, right? When you were released, right? What's one of the first things, you know, because we already know how, you know, people get out and you go to your favorite food spot, or you go to your favorite, you know, your cousin's house, or you go shopping or whatever. What's one of the first things that you did when you were released? When I got released, man, I went to a park. Okay. Wow. I went to a park. I didn't go to a favorite restaurant. Right. I went to a park, and I went to this place in Rock Hill. It was like a transitional house. Right. I could have went to my family, but I wanted to go to Rock Hill. What I call that was my time to recalibrate. I was in the system for so long. I went to prison at 19 years old, and I got out when I was 41 years old. Wow. Right? So it wasn't really the food thing for me. It was about me walking out of prison and sitting down and trying to listen, allow myself to listen to God. Because I knew that God wasn't just going to release me out of prison, and here I go, I come back into the world and lose sight of what he gave me in prison. Right. I knew this. Right. Like I knew that when I walked out of prison, that everything that I'm doing now is what it's going to be. So I wrote my vision, as they say, write your vision and chase it. I wrote my vision. I wrote out a 5-year plan before I even walked out of prison. So everything that people see what I'm doing, they be like, yo, how? I wrote this in prison. My organization, Pathway Exemption, I wrote the whole program out in prison, the name, everything, right? My book was already written when I was in prison. Wow. My everything that I'm doing right now is been, if I would remember, I would bring and show you proof that I wrote it out. You envisioned all of it. I envisioned everything, except for me and you sitting right here. All this right here is extra stuff, right? Hey. And I thank God for it. Yeah, you know God is God, fellowship. Man. Yeah. Fellowship, man, and learning more about your story, man, it just makes me makes me grateful to call you a friend. You know what I mean? Because you know, not many people can say that they did 22 years, man, in prison, right? And came out and completely changed their life. But, however, you're making sure that so many young men, when they leave prison, right, they have a way to find success. Yeah, man, right? Yeah. And they're being treated right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? First of all,
by having rights. Okay, so let's talk about that right there, man, because you have been beating the streets, man.
Oh, got you, man.
Streets, man.
God's assignment.
God's assignment, man.
When I got out of prison, man, I remember it was a humbling thing for me when I got out and started applying for jobs, and people told me that I couldn't get a job.
Wow.
See, when you're in prison, I ain't had it about in my vision about getting out, doing all these things, getting the job, et cetera, et cetera. Right. But no one told me that it was going to be obstacles for me. I didn't know this. I didn't know that existed in this world. Right. So I remember getting out, man, and I finally got a job washing dishes. I'm 41 years old washing dishes at $7.25. Wow. 41, and yeah, it's very humbling. And it's even more humbling on that is that the person you work for refused to pay you after 2 weeks, right? So because he knew my story, I was honest with him about my story, he hesitated in paying me my full amount every pay period. Now, mind you, I come from a lifestyle where $300, I can make that within 10 minutes. Right. You know, you're talking about money in my pocket every day.
Easy money.
Easy, like easy breezy, you know, and I could have came here back home and got plugged right back in. It would have been nothing for me to start back over and got back into that, but that's not what I wanted. So $7.25, this guy, I washed the dishes at 41. Felt bad, but I did it. Because me and this guy had altercation about my money. Like, bro, I had to roll up. I had to let him know, like, hey, bro, this is who I am now, but this is what I can get to. Let me get this bread. So
yeah, man. So you was 41 years old, man, working hard, right? Just got out, trying to make that transition. Which, man, so many brothers do when they get out. You know what I'm saying?
And people don't respect it though.
No.
You know, like myself, I'm getting it out, like I said, $7.25. And then I quit this job and another person said, hey, I heard you got a felony. Man, I got a job position. I actually got a business degree and while I was in prison. I got a business degree in management. So this guy was like, yeah, you can work for me. I was like, how much you gonna pay me? Oh, we'll talk about when you get there. But I have to pay you under the table. Right. I was like, all right, so I went. So I worked for a whole week. We still like with this. He was like, oh, I got you. Then once I finally got paid, this dude was like, 10 hours, you're a manager of my spot. And you. This man. Yo, like, I'm like, God, is this, do I need young? You know what I'm saying? Bro.
You felt it though.
Bro.
You felt it,
oh
man.
My God.
The disrespect is crazy.
And I'm looking at this dude like, dude, this little bit of money you think, like, bro, like, I would take this money from you.
Easy.
But I was like, I gotta be humble, right?
You got it.
And I eventually quit and just kept going and grinding for a job, and I found that band the box was a big issue for us. It was like no one wanted to hire us. So once I was blessed, God opened the door, I got a job. I got this job at Tyson Foods that hired people with felony convictions. Got into Tyson Foods.
Tyson Foods,
they just closed. But I got into Tyson Foods, and it's crazy. I went in there, and that's why I tell a lot of brothers when they get out of prison, man, like how you get the best interviews, how to have the best interviews with a felony conviction. I got because I studied Tyson while I was in prison. I actually invested in Tyson stocks when I was in prison. Wow. Right? So invest in stocks now. I had my family invest in the money I was making working in prison. I would say but I started investing in the stocks. Got out of prison. I saw that Tyson hired us with those with felony convictions. I was like, there's 20 people in this job and it worse than anybody else, right? So I studied this business. I studied it. I knew it. So the human resource manager came in and we kicked it out of my conversations. I hit it. Like, what do you think we this place? Most people think Tyson off of Bluff Road killed chickens. I was like, and everybody, that's what I thought. And this is the tip. Everybody answered. Then the 20 people who didn't said they killed chickens at the spot. Right. I studied. I wanted this job. I wanted myself from the herd. I said, you guys process taco meat for all of the Taco Bells on the East Coast, as well as the toppings for Domino's pizzas and Pizza Hut. All of the toppings that you see.
Research.
Yeah, research when you get out of prison, man. Like, study before you go to interview. Study the company that you're applying for, even if it wasn't. I studied it. And then further than that, I took it a little further. I knew who the founder of the company was. I got into the office of the human resource manager. I started talking about the founder's value of the company. Like who founded Tyson? He founded it. Wow. And what was his value statement? and showing that his value statements align with my personal values, right?
Whoa.
And then went into the conversation about, I was like, started talking about the stock market, like, yo, I see prices at 35.
Right.
Y'all making some progress, and I was like, what's caused a leap in the last 12 weeks of the stocks that has caused y'all to jump? So he says they just emerged with another company, Arizona. So now I'm like, okay, it was Hill. It's the same. They merged. So you learn. Now I'm having a conversation with Hill's Farm, other sausage beef place they had merged with. Now I'm talking about this. So now it's like, you hired, right? So,
just like that.
Yeah, so I tell people, cut yourself from the start. Like, even if you don't have a felony, study the company.
Study the company.
A lot of people just apply and say, oh, they pay 18, whatever. That's
study
what it
the
is.
company.
Study, bro.
Yeah,
so once I got
company.
in, he was like, yo, you hired.
Wow.
90 days after, less than 90 days, I got promoted into management position. Because when I got there again, most of the cats have done been there for 5-10 years. They done got lax. I'm in there grinding. I'm hungry.
Going for it.
I'm hungry. I gotta take care of family now.
Yeah,
you feel me? So once I did that, man, they promoted. And I stayed at Tyson for like 3 years, bought my house off of that money, because I started learning again, knowing the value of stocks. Instead of putting my money in a account, they a stock, every stock I buy. Wow. So I started taking a portion of my income and putting it into the stocks as my savings account versus savings.
Wow.
2 years I maximized that, where I had the money to buy my house, built thing off of that one job.
Wow. Gang.
Yeah, it's like, yo.
Gang.
So after that, now I got now I can stop putting myself in a position. I'll start advocating for banned bonds across the state of South Carolina.
Hey.
You know, and that's where we were.
That's what you've been doing, man. That's what he's been doing. I'm telling you, he is the #1 advocate, y'all. The #1 advocate. All right. Path to redemption, man.
Yeah.
What's that about?
That's my baby, man. Path to redemption, as I mentioned earlier, that while I was in prison, God showed me redemption. That all of us have redemption qualities.
Right.
After I made, as I mentioned earlier in this video, after that night I had that conversation with my victim and made peace with that spirit, God put me on the path to redemption.
Right.
I remember sitting in there and I was like, God, what should I do with this? He said, you create a program while you're in prison called Path to Redemption. And when you walk out of prison, this program continue to be that program where you focus on empowering men who are incarcerated as well as those outside, as well as you. Empower them with the power of choices. Help them make better choices. Help them become healthy, healed. Because a lot of men in prison are broken.
Right.
We're broken, you know, in prison, but a lot of us are broken men. Like, we're broken in so many ways. Our self-worth is really battered, and we work so hard to get this self-worth through materialism.
Right.
Like, why I hustle, like I tell people, I didn't hustle for the money. I hustled because I was trying to cover up the broken spirit, the things that I didn't want the world to see. I didn't want the world to see this 16-year-old boy in the fetus position in the closet of his room, hurt from the death of his mother. I didn't want people to see that. So I the most expensive clothes. I remember when I was sitting in prison one time, going, my sister like, hey, sis, send me some money. She said, what about, could I send you that $400 shirt you paid for? You can.
Petty.
She was petty, but she looked out for me. But she was just, but that's the type of person I was.
That's her sister for you.
Yeah, that's my sis all day. All day, bro. That's my ride or die. She ride harder than my homies did.
For sure.
But yeah, that's what happened, man. So Path to Redemption came as me understanding my own brokenness, my own struggle with self-esteem, self-worth. I focused while I was in prison to help brothers develop and rediscover purpose and heal from their individual brokenness. A lot of it came from poverty, came from absence of their fathers. So I knew that those are some of the core things that caused to make a lot of bad choices. Not everybody was out there to make money.
Exactly.
So that's what it was about. And then from there, I got out of prison and I started using my book to send back into the prisons, working with the Department of Juvenile Justice. And then I started seeing some of the youth had very similar I had when I was a young man. They don't want to be in the streets, but because they don't understand how to develop a self-worth outside of something material, they have to buy the materialism. They will kill Jordan. Like Jordan you got on, they will kill.
I'm telling you.
And it's not about the Jordan, it's about the low sense of
about man. It's about the hurt, man. It's about the hurt, man. Lack of fathers. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's so much that plays into that stuff, man.
So that's what Pastor MC about. There's not helping brothers heal. So like right now, I got my life certification, right. And disassessment certification too. Yeah. So now I help individuals understand their strength, their weakness, and have a better sense of self-awareness of who they are. Yeah. So that now when you get out of prison, or before you go to prison, and once you have a better sense of self-worth and awareness, your emotional intelligence, you can make so much better decisions. You know,
wise,
we don't have that, bro. We're not taught emotional. What is it? Intelligence, self-awareness, strength. Like you right now, you have a blind spot that you're not even aware of, right? But me as a coach and as a disassessment, I would be like, hey, here's some tools that help you know what your blind spots are, so that you can maximize in the space that you're in even more than you are right now. You can be a greater conqueror if you understand your strength or your weakness or your blind spot. So that's what I do. I help brothers understand that, so that once you understand, now you understand your relationship. Like how do I a lot of people know that you have a certain style how you communicate to the world, right? But you don't know how to like that, but you just know. I help you understand how you will communicate to the world, but then how you want the world to communicate to you so that you can maximize better. So that's what I've been doing over the last couple of years, is using that skill to help brothers and sisters maximize like 10x their life. Wow. You know? Accomplish it and go after whatever God destined you. Be like, chase your because God gave you. And before you leave this, man, you gotta get what God destined you to get.
Wow. Man, that's awesome, man. Now, God, listen, man, writing this stuff down, okay, because it's so impactful. It's so much needed. You know what I'm saying? Listen, you just don't know how your struggles or how your failures or how your mistakes, I mean, are really setting you up for nothing but greatness. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, man.
Never knew, bro.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
When I went to prison, y'all, I never knew that here I would be in this, speaking this language, speaking this language of self-empowerment.
Right.
You know,
right. So, when you started being transparent about your past, right, was it therapeutic for you?
Yeah, it was. It's healthy, just like right now, like you mentioned earlier about my dad's death.
Right.
Like me, I knew that when my mom passed, I analyzed it. I didn't talk about it. So now I have to talk about my dad or my dad's death. I have to honor my dad by speaking about the relationships we had. Right. Not and being transparent about, like, when you say how you doing, I'm like, bro, I'm struggling with this.
Right.
When this was 16, I didn't have the vocabulary or the maturity to be able to articulate. So now I'm transparent about the death of my father, transparent about my situation at 19, taking a human being life. It frees me. It's counseling for me. You see what I'm saying? And it helps me become a better person. That's what some people like. Transparency transport people. Right. Because your story, my story transports people. Right. But when we refuse to be transparent, then people in our circle can't be transported to the next level because you don't want to be transparent about what your struggle is.
Exactly. Listen, your past can help someone's future.
Respect.
I promise you. Your past, man. But you can't be stubborn. All right? Listen, give it to us. You have a gift. Give it to us. Right? That gift may be what you've been through. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
What he been through, I'm telling you, has, provided a huge path for so many young men that has followed his footsteps. You know what I'm saying? But listen, time is out for throwing those young brothers away. All right? Still valuable. No matter what you've been through, you're still valuable. But like he said, you have to see it. Okay, you gotta face yourself, right? Face the music, bro. You know what I mean? Once you deal with it, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, and you build that relationship with God. You gotta build with God for yourself, man. Okay? Nah. I'm telling you, man, it's not even possible, man. It's like playing football without the ball. Okay, you can't do it. You can't. Man, so listen, man, for my listeners, man, who, for those who under a rock and do not know about this dude, how can they follow you, dog?
And I just say, on Facebook, of course. That's one platform. You can go to Facebook, Lester Young on Facebook. On my organization page, you can go to Facebook, Path 2 Redemption. On Instagram, the same thing, Path 2 Redemption 515. On Instagram, Instagram. And you go to my website, path2.org, and you can cop the book. You can see some of the work that I'm doing. If you're looking for someone to be a life coach or something like that, just hit me up. Message, speak, life coach, whatever it is, a workshop facilitator, whatever we can do together. I'm looking forward to that. To just empower our young people, but also our older men who are still struggling with some stuff that they're not really showing up in a space where they need to show up correctly.
Facts. Listen. Please do me the biggest favor and purchase this man book.
Please.
Okay? Purchase this man book, man. Each one teach one. All right.
Further to what we do with this book too, even if you don't want to read the book, you want to make a donation. Just like recently, we donated almost 100 books to different prisons across the country just for men who don't have the financial means to buy the book. You can make a donation where we actually sending books now to the different prisons. We're sending like 100 books to a mentoring group in Ohio next week to a group of men inside of the prison system. So make a donation as well if you can.
Make a donation, man.
Yep.
Make a donation when we coming to your house. All right. Now listen. Now, before we let my guy go, man, because my guy's a busy man, so before we let him go, we gotta ask him the magic question. You ready for the magic question, bro? All right. Because listen, dog, you done seen it all, dog. Yeah. So this is one of the most questions of all time.
Oh, I thought you talk about gonna win the Eastern Conference this year.
They definitely not gonna do that because them doggone Lakers, LeBron James, the king. All right, the king in the building. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, but my question to you is,
what's that?
You eat chicken wings?
Say again?
You eat chicken wings?
Yeah.
You do? You eat chicken wings? All right. When you eat chicken wings, do you prefer the flats or drum? Oh my goodness. Q, what is he doing, Q, what is he doing?
I don't like them wigs.
Why not, bro?
I like the flats, man. I like that. I don't like the flats, man. It's better to me, and it cooks better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Hey, listen, man. God broke my heart just now, man. I thought he was a good guy, man. How? He broke my heart, man. Drums, brother.
Much, man. They sometimes
drums got more meat on it.
Like sometimes
then you shit better.
I go response, man. People just don't. It feel like that little rubbery part.
I got you.
Ain't really the flat is all the way cooked. You know what I'm saying? So I fuck with it that way.
All right.
I apologize. I break y'all.
Nah, it's all good. You still my guy. Still my dude. Listen. Buy this man, please, out and purchase the book. Listen, man. Follow this man. He's doing something phenomenal, impactful things. All right. Thank you guys so much, man. God bless y'all. Remember, put God first. All right. And be safe out there, man. Wear your mask.
Let's go.
Salute.
Yo, Kingdom. Community vibes, community ties. Terrance Tucker is the brother who's connecting the tribe. You say you won't shine, come get your shine on. You say you want vibes, come get your vibe on. Community vibes, community ties. Terrance Tucker is the brother who's connecting the tribe. Hey, you say you won't shine, we'll get your shine on. You say you want vibes, we'll get your vibe on.